Today's show is brought to Today's show is brought to you by the Farkas Group at the Veterans Mortgage Source. Are you looking for a team you can trust for your mortgage needs? The Farkas Group is our trusted partner on the podcast. I serve with Zach, and he will definitely give you the best rate possible. Their goal is to educate veterans across the country on their earned VA home loan benefit. If you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, reach out to these guys for competitive rates or any information you may need on obtaining a VA mortgage for your property. They are licensed in multiple states. If they are not licensed in the state that you live in, they will still give you the advice that you need and the rates you should be looking for. What's up, Trash Talkers? What's up, Gruntworks? This is going to be really exciting. We're talking about money. And we're talking about loans, and we're talking about credit score. I am the Big Earl. Those of you who don't know me, shame on you. Those of you that do know me realize that I don't do anything all day except play golf and drink. So I'm good. With us today is Zach Farkas. Now, let's talk a little bit about Zach. Let's introduce Zach the way the Trash Talk team introduces people. Now, he was on our fourth podcast. It was something crazy a long time ago. But we weren't very popular then. We had about 6 people watching. So now we'll have about 2,000 or 3,000, and it'll be a good time. But Zach Farkas and I met in Hawaii. But the story goes before that, where I knew Zach Farkas before Zach Farkas knew Zach Farkas, if that makes sense. And he just got a text message, so his screen turned off, and that's okay. He spent about 9 months in Ranger School. So those of you that don't know what Ranger School is, because you didn't want to jump out of airplanes and kill people, it's a pretty tough school. And to spend at least 60 days down there is difficult. Some guys make it a week. Some guys make it, 2 months, and then they get dropped. Well, Zach kept pushing and he kept going. Now, this story doesn't end in success as far as rewarding, but it does end in the fact that everybody that sat in the room that I sat in, searching through the POI and the doctrine, trying to get this Lieutenant Zach Farkas a tab, right? Now, of course, we had some beers and us, the Gators there and all that kind of stuff. So it's like, but what am I doing here searching this? Like, why do I have to help Zach Farkas, right? So we did, just so he knows, we did everything we could to get him a tab, because he literally had 7 graded patrols as go in Florida. So Florida is the last phase, and he actually got to go 7 times, but he kept getting hurt. What was the last one? Was it your ankle? I forget.
Yeah, I tore all the ligaments in my ankle and frayed my Achilles tendon.
How do I know that? Like, I should not know that. He was the scum. He was the student, and I was one of the primary instructors. So it was like screw this guy. But once you started reading his pack and his story, it's like, damn. All right. But either way, we have Zach Farkas with us from the Veterans Mortgage Source, and they have bought into Veteran Trash Talk's mission about curbing the soldier suicide rate, and they help us get our platform bigger, and they help us get the technology that we need so that we can reach more people. They have fully bought in. Oh, and by the way, everything I just told you was because you had an entire branch of the Army, a very small one, the Ranger instructors, doing everything they could to get this guy a tab because of the person that he is. So I'm not selling his product, all right, even though he will. I'm selling Zach, okay? We have vetted Zach. I mean, he brought on a guy the other day, last time, because he was dough, but Zach is the man, all right? Zach is the guy that will, and so will Doe. I shouldn't say that about him, but I'm hoping he's watching.
Yeah.
That was it. No, Doe will give you exactly the same effort as Zach. I vouch for this guy. VTT vouches for this guy. So if you have any questions about VA loans, please ask him tonight. All right, we're only going to be on for about 15 minutes, 20 minutes, because otherwise, what the hell? I mean, it's a loan, right? Like you either get approved or you don't. It happens. But there's a bigger system, and we're going to knock out a piece of that system tonight. And it's about the credit score. So a lot of people, to include myself when I was younger, and I'll talk about that later, but a lot of people don't understand the power they have over their credit score, what they can do with their credit score, what they can do to build equity while they are only making E5 pay, E6 pay, right? And now all of a sudden you have extra income coming in from a rental property. All this stuff we can talk about. So without further ado, our major topic tonight is credit score. Now, if you have a question, ask it in a thread on Gruntworks, and then Muffin Fingers will tell us what you asked on Gruntworks. And if on VTT, I'm monitoring that. So ask a question on there, and we'll ask Zach whatever you want to know about VA loans, refinance, or new purchase, or credit score. So Zach, welcome to the team again. Welcome back to the Trash Talk podcast platform, and say hi, and let's talk about credit scores.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Nick. I really, really appreciate it. So, I have used the VA loan here in Hawaii as a vehicle to, really build a decent amount of wealth for my age. So I am very, very passionate about helping people get into houses and homes using their VA home loan benefit because, not only can it be an investment, but it's also a roof over your head. And yeah, it's just, it's something that every soldier should take advantage of. And it's just a great program. And it's really our country's way of saying, hey, thank you for serving. And we don't, take advantage of those benefits enough. But, one of the biggest hurdles with people in the military with PCSing, deployments, stuff like that is a lot of times I'll kind of just see like some ankle biter credit stuff that could really affect their interest rate or qualification. I've actually helped people improve their score about 80 points in a month. And, when I started mortgage lending, I really took off really quickly. And one of the things that I think a reason for that is, I always want to, every person I talk to, I really want to try as hard as I can to get them a home. And part of that is, so many people would come to me like, hey, this person pulled my credit and they are now ignoring me. Like they will not speak to me. So I did a lot of research and I figured out some really quick, easy ways to help people improve their credit. And that's, paid off for me, for my business. It's paid off for my clients that are now homeowners. That I just had one that we didn't credit qualify. They just sold their house and made $120,000 3 years later out here in Hawaii. So we'll kind of just start with credit scoring. How does it work? There's two basic scoring models. There's FICO and there's Vantage. Okay. So mortgage lenders are going to use a FICO scoring model. Okay. A lot of people, when they're watching on Credit Karma, when you get your credit pulled for like buying a car or a credit card, they're like, oh, my credit score is a 720 and I pull it and it's going to say like 690, right? And like, that's not it. And it's kind of like this friction point in the mortgage, right? Where it's like, I'm the bad guy because I told you your credit was worse, right? It's not really, it's not really that. Generally, a mortgage pull is going to be worse than your Vantage pull, which is worse than your Credit Karma and worse than what the car dealer told you, right? The mortgage pull is going to go back 7 years, whereas the Vantage score only goes back 2 years. And then the FICO model is going to pull from your Equifax, your Experian, and your TransUnion. So that's kind of how it works. And those are the two different models. So if you get your credit pulled, your mortgage lender tells you it's a little less than what it should be. don't be deterred by that. It is normal. It's a 7-year pull, so it's always going to naturally be a little bit worse than what you think it is. And that's okay. So when we get a pull, let's say you have like a, 710, 715, and a 720. Okay. We're going to use the median score or the middle score. So you're going to take out the high, take out the low. We're going to use that middle score, right? So be a 715 if those were your 3 scores. If you are purchasing with your spouse, we're going to use the lower of the 2. So you might have that 710, 715, 720. If your spouse is down in the 600s, right? The bank is always going to lend money, in the safest way possible. So we're going to assume we're going to price based on the poorer credit score. So that's always something I'm going to look at too. Is like, hey, can we take someone on or add someone that's going to make this stronger or weaker? And then, how is credit actually scored? So credit scoring is broken down into 5 major sections. 30% of your score is going to be your types of credit used. So it's literally credit diversity, right? So different types of credit are going to be credit cards, car payments, personally secured loan, and mortgages, right? So if you have a colorful credit portfolio, it's going to be easier for you to get to an 800.
What about gambling accounts?
Gambling accounts, if they register, probably not. Probably wouldn't recommend.
Damn it. That's the only thing I've been using lately. Sorry to interrupt you. My bad.
Yeah. No, you're good. I feel like I'm going pretty strong here. So types of credit used. So I always say, you want to have probably 3 credit cards. Okay. And then you want to have at least 1 mortgage and at least 1 car payment or a personal secured loan if you're really trying to strive for that 800. Because 800 is a very, very hard number to hit. Probably less than 5% of people I pre-qual have above an 800 or close to an 800. 35% of your score is going to be based on your payment history. So have you made your payments on time, period, right? If you have a ding and it was 6 years and 6 months ago, our credit score pull in the mortgage industry, 7 years, it's going to show up. That would not show up on your Vantage. That's one reason why a lot of times it's less. So it's literally 7 years. You really have to watch your P's and Q's. And the best way to make sure that you don't miss a payment is just set up everything on auto pay. It's super easy in today, and it's super important. Another thing that really jams people up, especially in the military, on their payment history is they PCS. They forgot to shut their Comcast bill off, or they get deployed and they didn't shut their Verizon bill off and they're not paying it, and now you have a collection. Okay, we're going to get in that a little bit, but that does affect your payment history. But I have a way that we can remove the collection completely without paying someone to do it. So another, the length of credit history, that's going to make up 15% of your credit score. So one thing that I always tell people is, say you're done with a credit card, don't call and cancel the credit card. Just shred it, chop it up, burn it, whatever you do, and just never use it. And they'll close it eventually, but that counts toward your length of credit history, right? So the longer you have had one account established, right, you just want to keep it going. So, a lot of times too, people are really like, oh, I want to pay my car loan off as fast as possible, That's a technique. I kind of recommend leaving that. It's going to help your credit score. And then, using that money you'd be paying that down with, and just start investing that money.
Yeah. Hey, Zach, that's a good point that people don't realize, because one, they don't get educated in it. And I wasn't educated in it, when I was younger, and I am now. But it's like, when you get a little bit of cash, it's like, do you dump it into a car? It's like, no, pay the payment on the car. Like, just pay the payment. Take the cash and put something that is going to grow in value. Now we have a comment from the audience, but he or she didn't respond. I'm not quite sure what the name is there, but I don't want to gender, whatever. Don't know who they are. But they said, just started my army career. What should I do? Now I asked what rank they were. They didn't tell me. So my advice personally would be, wait till you're like an E5 if you're enlisted. If you're an officer, you immediately take that loan out from USAA or whatever, right? And then you immediately buy some freaking property. like immediately. And you were really good at that. I know I got one of my buddies, well, actually not one of my buddies, one of these kids that called me 10 years ago and asked what it's like to be an airborne ranger. And he wrote a paper on high school. Well, now he just bought a house in Hawaii and I think he used you guys. But
Yeah.
if you're an officer, immediately buy a house immediately. Like military towns, if they're a big military town, they go nowhere. So yeah, with the credit thing you're talking about, how do you contest credit? Because you brought up Verizon, and it's funny because when I deployed for my first time, I just wanted to put my account on hold, not cancel it. And then when I came back from a 15-month deployment, they're like, "Hey, you owe us like $16,000." I was like, "Yeah, no." Like, so
Yeah.
like, that hurt my credit, and I didn't know about that until I applied for a loan for a house. And they were like, "What's this Verizon thing?" And I was like, "What are you talking about?" So that's how I found out about it. How do you find out the dings on your credit, and what do you do to get rid of them?
Yeah, so a really good way to find out the dings is, I think it's like freecreditreport.com. I forget, but you can literally Google it. Or I really like Credit Karma, even though it's not going to be super accurate. I like Credit Karma. Credit Karma is going to show you those collection accounts, going to show you those derogatory trade lines and stuff like that. So we have two different. There's a lot of derogatory or things that'll ding you, right? One would just be a late payment. There's not much we can do to help you on a late payment to increase your score. So I always say that that's worse than having a collection. So if you came back from your deployment and Verizon said, "Hey, you owe them $17,000, right?" Or even a charge off where it's like they don't sell it. So if they sell that debt that they need to collect from you to a collection agency, that is good. Like, a lot of people think collections are bad. We can get collections off. So what you do is, and I have a script. So if anybody's watching and you have collections, like, I'm very passionate about credit repair. And so
hold on, you need a first sergeant to caveat off of you. Pay attention. I'm gonna caveat what the commander said. Pay attention. All right, what do you got?
Thank you. So the collection agency's goal is to collect your debt. They don't, they bought the debt from Verizon, right? Their goal is just to collect it, right? So they may have paid Verizon, if you owe them $10,000, say, "Hey, we'll take that off your hands for $2,500. We got it. We'll collect it." And then they are gonna blister you. The thing that I hate is a lot of people will hire credit repair people and they'll put them on a $60 a month thing, and they don't want to get your credit improved because they want to milk you for $60 a month. It's so easy. So I have a script, and you call the collection agency and you say, "Hey, my name is so and so. I'm aware that I have a collection account with you. I'd like to settle this debt, but I'd also like to improve my credit." And they might give you a agree. It's hard talking to these people. I've actually been on three-way calls with my clients, like helping negotiate these things. So then, you say, "Hey, I'm tracking that my collection is $10,000. And if I always say, if you have the money, right, the easiest road to perdition is just to say, if I pay you the full $10,000, maybe that's a bad example because it's high, but sometimes you have like $800. But anyway, if I pay the full $10,000,
so am I.
Yeah, if I pay you the full $10,000 today, do you agree to delete or remove this from my credit score? They want to collect your money. They're going to say yes, and then you say, "Okay, please send me a letter stating that if I pay this collection in full, right, you'll delete this collection from my credit report, and your credit is instantly going to go up 40 or $50. You're going to wait till you receive the letter. You're going to make the payment, okay? And then within a month to 2 months, that's going to be completely off your credit. And your credit's going to go up, like, depending on your portfolio, anywhere from like 30 to 80 points. I mean, I've had people go up 100 points in a month, like, no joke. I mean, I have like 3 or 4 people I call right now. It's crazy. So if you don't have the money to pay in full, then you use the same thing, like, "Hey, I can't pay this in full. However, they might have bought the debt from Verizon for $1,000 or $2,500. Can I pay you $5,000 today? And then if you agree to delete it or remove it upon receipt of that money, then we can do this." They send you the letter. You wait till you have the letter saying with agreement, you pay them, you take that receipt as proof, and then month or 2 months off. The third option would be is you can do a payment plan with them, but then you're doing it as like paid as agreed. So you never want to settle, right? I'll talk to people like, "We just got our credit fixed. We settled." Settling is not good. We want to pay in full, pay in part, or a payment plan to remove or delete or mark as paid as agreed on your credit score. And then it's done. It's off. And it's really that easy.
Hey, so those of you who just jumped on and are paying attention now, we got Zach Farkas with us from the Veterans Mortgage Source, a proud sponsor of the 22 a day mission and how we're going to curb that down. And again, I have to reemphasize what our mission is. All right? We don't, obviously, money makes the world go around. Right? We don't care about the money. We care about helping veterans. And if we can help every veteran get their credit score up, all right, pay attention to this. If you've missed it, all right, watch it on YouTube or go to veterantrashtalk.com. All right, and Zach's link is on there. Go to Zach Farkas at the, he's got his website on there, everything. Click on it. I'm sure he'll say it, but click on it and ask him these questions. Ask him, hey, what did you say about the credit score? Okay. Ask him, hey, how do I contest this? What's that script again? He is literally giving you the answers to the test. And like I said before, you don't have to listen to us, but just know anybody that knows me, I vouch for this guy. All right. And the whole team vouches for this guy. So go on the website, check it out, get the link and ask him questions. But what we got? So that sounds like something we already covered. But we'll cover it again. But yes, go ahead, Zach. Answer that.
Yeah. So the short answer is, if you're here, you're ready to go, you're primed, and you want to qualify for a little bit more, it's going to be like a case by case basis. But if you do have some low hanging fruit debt, it's usually better to pay that debt off, because like say you have a car payment with $400 and you got $5,000 left on the payment, right? If we just pay that off, the $400 could increase your qualification $80,000 rather than putting $5,000 into a mortgage that's going to be $25 a month.
Wait, now you're speaking like you've done this job for a while. What's that math mean? How does that $400 a month, if they could pay it off right now, what does that mean? How do you get to 80,000?
Right. So your mortgage qualification is based on, really two factors. And, I actually have doing like an Instagram series all about mortgage stuff, but it's based on your debt to income ratio and your loan to value. So I'm going to talk more about the debt to income ratio, which is literally a ratio that's generated between the amount of money you make every month or your income, and you compare that to your debt, right? So there's two ways to qualify for more home. You can cut down on your debt, right? Which we kind of said in the beginning, it may not make sense if we're trying to boost the score, but if we're here and we're ready to do the mortgage, that's when it may make sense. And then your income. So I always say, most people want to make more money, but you're doing what you're doing, so you can't or you don't want to. Your choice is to do what you're doing, right? The easiest way to qualify for more is to cut down on your debt. And sometimes eliminating the car payment or credit card payment can increase that debt to income ratio, or decrease the debt to income ratio so you can qualify for more. And I know that was probably pretty technical, but maybe next month we talk about debt to income ratio.
Right. Yeah, that would probably be a good topic as well. And again, to the audience watching, if you just came on, ask a question about a VA loan. You know what? There's a lot of people who watch right now. We can see it on our thing, and like you might be waiting for somebody to ask the question you want to ask, but we're going to run out of time here shortly, because this is a quick, hey, you want a VA loan? This is the guy to talk to, and this is why. Man, I'll just give you a personal story. What I just did, and I don't have to tell anybody this, but I bought a house in North Carolina in 2007, at the end of 2007. And it was in Fort Bragg, center of the universe. And like, it had been rented this entire time. Mm-hmm. And somebody called me who was very intelligent in the real estate market, was like, this house will, obviously there's a chance it could go up. But in Rayford, North Carolina, they were like, this is the time to sell this house. Like, this house is not worth that, what they're going to pay you. So they paid us a good amount of money. And that equity that I built off of my BAH and then off of somebody else's rent, it's like, why are you not buying property? So if you're active duty, why are you paying to live there? So anyways, Zach froze a little bit, but that's okay. He said he's back on. Now he's coming. He's coming. He's coming. That's all right. The big girl can always cover. We can talk about football. We can talk about anything. But we're about to wrap it up anyways. But he'll come back on, and as soon as I got to ask him to start his video here, probably. Let's see here. Working out the technical issues. All right, there he is. But again, that worked out really well for me. All right, really worked out really well. No, you're good. You're good. You're good. So worked out really well for my family that I was able to build equity and, enjoy some things that, most enlisted guys don't get to enjoy because they build equity. So again, go to veterantrashtalk.com, look for the link for Veterans Mortgage Source, and then click on Zach Farkas. Zach, if you want to give him a direct link right now, you go ahead and then hit him with a cliffhanger of again, why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah. So, first of all, thanks for having me on. Second of all, first of all, your cause, the veteran suicide and stuff like that. I don't know the stats. I'm sure you're better, but I'm sure a lot of people get real down in the dumps about their finances, So I'm not saying buying a house will prevent you from, doing anything or your friends from doing anything, but certainly, money is a key factor in people's life. I know it's a huge reason for like domestic disputes and stuff like that. So, we're here for you. The links and stuff are great. You can just Google me and the Veterans Mortgage Source, Zach Farkas and the Veterans Mortgage Source. My page will pop up, or you can always give me a call. People always think it's funny I give my number on the news, but 808-861-0586. Call, any time zone, any questions you may have. My team and I are here to help you. If you literally want us to look at your credit and just do free credit repair, I will gladly do it. And I don't care if my phone rings 1,000 times. We'll help you out no matter what. So I appreciate you having on. If you have any, we do have a webinar, a VA webinar I can send out. If anybody ever inquires or if you get in touch with me, just teaches you about how to use the VA loan. It's a really great resource. So thanks for having me on. I guess next month we will talk about debt to income ratio and how that affects your mortgage qualification.
Absolutely. So the VTT Spaceman is watching right now, and he said that Mac had a question, but the question isn't popping up on my thread. But he said he was asking something about 100% disabled. Are your closing costs covered at closing?
So you get a couple advantages for being disabled, right? So if we're talking about specifically the VA loan,
except for being disabled,
right? Except for that, but I'm saying within the financing system. So, one thing is your VA funding fee is waived, right? Which we'll also talk about the VA funding fee in a different episode. But basically, the VA funding fee is a one-time fee. The VA is going to charge you that to borrow the money. There's different tiers, but it's basically 2.3% of your purchase price. You can pay it out of pocket. You can roll in the loan. Depending on the market, I recommend you do one or the other, depending on what market you're buying in. But that would be waived for life. And then another thing is most states and most counties, if you're 100% disabled, you pay very minimal or no
property tax,
county property tax.
Yep.
And then, so those two things are going to decrease your closing costs a ton. But usually how we do no cost loans is a little different than just like 100. Like there's no not that I'm aware of at least, and I'm on this stuff every day. I don't know of any program that covers your closing costs if you're 100% disabled. I think what a lot of lenders do is they kind of run, like I can do a no cost loan. I just lock you at a higher interest rate. Anybody can do it. Then people market that. So you got to look at like what rate you're getting, but I haven't heard of anything with paying for the closing costs, but I can definitely look into it and kind of update. I can write that down for next month.
Yeah. Hey, Mac, go ahead and check out our website and ask Zach this question directly. And again, closing costs encompasses a couple of things like the realtor fees. So I don't think just saying as somebody who's about to be 100% disabled when I get out, I should probably pay the realtor, right? So unless the VA does it, maybe it does. But this is a great segue. It's a great segue into who we got coming on Saturday. Saturday, we got Bob Wingo coming on. Just Google Bob Wingo. All right. This guy worked for like 2 presidents and like all kinds of other stuff. he just got his first VA check from being wounded in Vietnam in 1968. He got his first VA check about 4 months ago. All right. He had no idea that he was even entitled to it. And entitled is a word that used to be used in a good way, like you earned it. All right. So he earned benefits and didn't even realize for what, 70 years? You know, like not 70, 50 years, like 50 years. They didn't even say, I get money for that. Like, yeah, bro, like you do. And, you know, he doesn't need the money, but the fact is that it's there. And so a lot of people don't buy houses because they're scared. A lot of people don't refinance because they're scared. All right. Like, just ask the expert. And we have vetted for this expert. So we'll close out on this. People, it's okay. Veterans, it's okay to not understand the VA loan. It's okay to not understand finances. I didn't understand finances when I was 26, 27 years old. All right. But I learned and I took the advice of some people who were doing really well, and it ended up working out for me. And so we will not lead you astray. So again, we'll see you next month, and we will talk about debt to income ratio, and maybe talk a little bit about what was it, the VA funding fee. So we'll write that down and talk about that. And again, check it out, Veteran Mortgage Source with Zach Farkas. Just Google Zach Farkas, Veteran Mortgage Source. And hey, we'll see you guys on Friday for NFL picks with the Big Earl, who was very successful last year. So hopefully you pay attention and get some money for a down payment. All right, guys, we'll see you later.
Thanks, Nick.